Hello, and welcome to another episode of Monday with Marie. So, this Monday, we're going to be talking about customer service and sales. Two topics that I think are quite fascinating to a lot of people, and we've got a couple of questions. Okay, so this question comes from Paul. So, Paul says, I'm struggling with my sales. I know that I need to do business development. I know that I need to focus on working on my business, not just in my business. But my problem is that every time I think of sales, I think of a car salesman, and I think, ugh, no, oh my gosh, Paul, so sorry. What do I do? All right, well, I think we need to flip your definition of sales, Paul. You truly have to believe that sales is about service, not hope, not pretend, but you've got to anchor yourself in the idea that when someone is investing with you, their life and their business are going to be better. And if you don't really believe that deep down inside of you, every sales conversation will become a hesitation, or you'll have some apology baked in, or you'll try to reduce your number of what your price point is because you're struggling with that sense of, I am not really, I don't really believe that what I'm offering is someone investing to make their life better. So here are two questions that I think you need to start off, write down right now, and have an honest conversation with yourself. Question one, do I fully believe that the work I'm doing is transformational and not transactional? And then question two, do I see not making an offer as actually doing harm, meaning that the person is going to get stuck in their problem if I don't offer them my solution? Now, there's a little bit of hubris baked into this, I'm going to be honest, because you've got to really believe that you are what this person needs. What you are offering is what this person needs. And if you don't truly believe that the service that you're providing can really transform this person's life, or the product that you're providing can really transform the person that you're selling this to, you're never going to really believe in the product or yourself. And you're always going to have that hesitation and that apology. So that's the first step. The first step is you've got to redefine what sales is. You've got to think of it as, this is me helping someone improve their life. This is me helping someone improve their business. The second shift, I think that's equally important, is how you enter the conversation. Most people approach sales thinking, I need to give this person something to buy. That, like, that's what we're doing here. Like, I need to give it to them. I want to kind of reframe that into, I need to understand this person's pain and their vision, and then give them a chance to step into a solution. So instead of, I need to give this to them to buy, I need to understand their vision. I need to understand their pain. So here's some practical examples. Replace the word pitch, instead of, I want to pitch this to someone, with the word invite. I want to invite you into this conversation. And then instead of saying, I need to convince someone to purchase, replace that word with clarifying. I want to clarify what this is all about. And then the last thing I'd like you to replace the word closing. So I'm not going to close. I'm going to lead to a decision. Now, this might feel a little trivial and trite, but in reality, words matter. And so if we can replace those three words, our brains will start to look at this as a different conversation. I'm leading someone into a decision feels more collaborative than I'm closing. Now, I recognize that Gordon Gekko said always be closing, but I'm here to say to you that the important thing here is that I want to lead to a decision. And then step 3 is about asking versus not telling. We spend a lot of time telling people why they should do something. We spend a lot of time talking. And when we're working with people, whether it is in leadership where we're working with our employees, or it's in business development where we're going out and we're developing relationships with clients, we need to stop talking at them and create a space where we can ask questions and just listen, truly listen. And some of the core questions that I like to use that I will share with you is, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? This is a great question because it allows someone to really think about what's going on in their world in this moment, right? And have a really rich conversation where you can kind of hear what's happening to them and are you the right solution for them? Another question I like to ask is what would solving this whatever open up for you? So in this example, what would solving your customer service issue open up for you? It allows them to really sort of think in a future manner of what it would look like if I didn't have this problem. So that when you're talking to them about what you're offering them, you can then tap back into their vision of what it would look like, right? And it feels good for them and for you because you can see what it is that they really are after. A big point that we forget when we talk to people about solution-based problem solving is that we forget about risk. And an important question is, what's at risk if you don't address this right now? Because a lot of times we think it's a major problem, but it turns out I risk nothing by not solving it right now. So that's not a problem I need to deal with right now. Or I risk everything by not solving it right now. So it's really important to be able to recognize what's at risk right now. Not what's at risk 5 years from now, but today. What's at risk for me right now? And then the last question I like to ask is, are you open to seeing a way forward? Because if the person knows that there's a problem, knows that there's a risk, but the risk is 5 years from now, and is not really open to solving that problem, then it's important to address that right now. To say, you know what, it sounds to me like this solution will not serve you right now. And I know that sounds a little bit like, what? I'm going to walk away from the sales? Yeah, you are, for a couple of reasons. One, you have your integrity. Two, the other person recognizes that you are truly in it to be of service as opposed to just chasing a dollar. And three, it begins to have them think about the problem in a more realistic way, that they may come back to you and say, you know what? No, this is something I do need to solve. I've had a thought of it as we've been talking. And even though I said to you, I may not be open to seeing that way forward right now, I think there is something there that I do need to look at and to see. And I'd like to walk through that with you. You'd be surprised how many times that happens. And I've got two more steps if you're open to hearing them. Step 4 is that everything needs to be anchored in your own values. And so the minute that you get nervous or you downplay the investment of what you are selling, what you're saying to that person is that I don't see the value in what I do. So you need to be crystal clear about the results that you deliver, and you need to practice saying your price without apology, justification, or discounting. The price is the price. This is how much it costs. I mean, think about it. You go into a store, you go into Macy's as an example, and you see something that you want to purchase at the store, and there is a price tag on it. The price tag doesn't say, I'm sorry that I cost this much. Please go talk to the customer service rep and see if they'll be willing to discount me. No, this is the price. And as a consumer, you have a choice of either paying for it or walking away. It is just that simple. And that's why you have to practice the conversation around your value and your price. What's your value here? And you have to do it in an unapologetic way. You have to make sure you're not trying to justify, well, this is why you should do it, because the conversation earlier should really explain to people what's the return on their investment. And then you don't discount your price. Don't count other people's pennies, as my husband would say. No, step 5, practice, practice, practice. It's not just enough to know mentally these points. It's also, you have to practice. You have to practice. You have to role play your sales conversations. You have to listen for moments when you're slipping into, I'm trying to convince someone instead of I'm clarifying, right? And you need to catch yourself using language in real time. Like, am I feeling like I'm pitching, or am I really helping someone solve a problem, right? So it's great to have a mindset of value and of sales, but that's just half the battle, Paul. You also need to believe it. You also need to practice it. And so the more you practice with friends, practice with families, practice in your head, practice all the time these conversations, the more it'll become comfortable to you. And that's the key. So remember, it's not just mindset, it's also practice language. I'm not pitching, I'm inviting. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm going to clarify the position, and I'm not closing. I'm helping you make a decision. I'm leading you into a decision point. And maybe the decision point is not to work with me, it's to work with someone else or not work with anyone at all at this time. These are all good, important practice steps. I hope that helps, Paul. Our next question is around customer service. So it's actually not a question. It's just something that sort of happened that I just would love to share. So earlier today, I had a really rich conversation with some colleagues around customer service, and we're constantly complaining about the lack of customer service. And she gave 2 great stories about positive customer service. She said she went into a Chipotle, and that the person at the front, that was actually preparing the meals, welcomed and smiled and actually told people have a nice day, was very pleasant. And she made a point of saying to them, I really appreciate you smiling. I really appreciate, just your manner. And that made that person's day great. But more importantly, it begins to reinforce, which is her point, begins to reinforce that positive behavior. And I will leave everyone with this challenge, and we're going to call it Adrian's challenge for today, which is when you see someone providing excellent customer service, let them know. Even if you're witnessing it and it's not directed at you, take a moment to let them know that you saw them, you heard them, and you recognize the excellence that they're doing right now. That reinforces that behavior, and it continues that wonderful service. So let's look for those good moments of customer service, because there are plenty of bad ones out there that we can talk about, but let's reinforce the good ones. And with that, I'll say have a great Monday, and I'll see you next Monday, same time.